Welcome back. 7:24 is your time. The number of people incarcerated in the United States seeing a significant drop during the pandemic, about 11%. Prisons and jails free tens of thousands of inmates trying to help slow the spread of COVID-19 behind bars. And as a result, now there is an increased call for prison reform and jail reform. Michael Block is an attorney with Kaplan, Hecker and Fink and on the New York City Bar Association's Mass Incarceration Task Force. Michael, good morning to you.
Morning, Angela. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You're passionate. You're an advocate for criminal justice reform. I'm interested in your opinion on how you think COVID has really changed this discussion when it comes to reform.
Yeah, well, I think, as you mentioned, we've seen jurisdictions across the country releasing people. They've effectively been forced to release people because jails and prisons are our leading COVID hotspots. And I think what we have seen is that, contrary to what the law enforcement community has sort of warned against, in fact, people are not going out and reoffending. They are returning to court when they're supposed to. In fact, what people are doing by and large is going back to their communities and their families and jobs and returning to become productive members of society. And so I think what this has hopefully highlighted is that we can incarcerate far fewer people than is sort of our knee-jerk reaction to do, and hopefully going forward it can kind of chart a new course.
Yeah, there's really a big push. One thing that we hear a lot about, and this is, even talked about really across the board, is this push for bail reform, and this is a topic that's really hotly debated. What's your issue with the hundreds of thousands of people in jail right now that even haven't gone to trial yet?
Yeah, well, there are nearly 500,000 people that are in jail right now who have merely been accused of a crime. They are presumed innocent. They have not been convicted of anything. And they're in jail simply because they can't afford to pay bail to get out. That, I think, is a travesty under any set of circumstances, but particularly now when you have COVID and folks in that situation go to jail and face an increased risk of catching a deadly virus, it's an even more urgent set of circumstances. And so bail reform is something that was badly needed before COVID, but I think particularly now the need has been highlighted.
We only have 30 seconds. The time goes fast and we're having these discussions, but I want to leave you with just, what do you think is the biggest need or something that you feel like needs to be addressed in the worst way?
Well, I think in addition to bail reform, I think we need to sort of reassess our knee-jerk reaction to incarcerate as a response to crime. I think the releases that have happened thus far because of COVID are good. I think we could go a lot further. There still are tens of thousands of people that are sitting in jail, either because they can't afford to pay bail or because their sentences are just drastically too long, and they are at risk of dying, frankly. So I think we need a vast reassessment of who really needs to be incarcerated and for how long. And I think in the short term, we need to continue to make a increased push to release people from jails, which are really the leading hotspots in this country.
Michael Block, thank you so much. We appreciate your opinion, and maybe we'll see you again soon. If you'd like to follow him, Michael Block 15 on Twitter. Also, if you're interested in some of the things he had to say today. Michael, thank you.
Thanks so much, Angela.
Yeah.